Welcome back. Welcome to another exciting episode of Friend or Foe. I'm your host, Devlin Wilder. In this amazing episode, Libby and I speak with the incredible author Caroline Kepnes, who wrote the books You and the follow-up Hidden Bodies. You is actually going to be a series on Lifetime coming later this year. Very exciting. I got the chance to watch the very first two episodes, and they are super thrilling, very exciting. So happy for her. We had a really nice conversation with her. I do have a few things to get to. This weekend, I will be speaking on a comedy panel at the Podfest Multimedia Expo in Orlando, Florida. So if you're going to be in the area, please definitely stop by, say hello. I would love to see you. If you want to buy tickets, you can still pick them up at podfest.us. Also, this Friday is the 4-year anniversary of Sneaky Fridays, the Twitter comedy prompt game that me and Libby play every Friday night at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be the most fun ever, and you don't have to go anywhere to play. You can hang out in your pajamas and do it up. We play for a couple hours. It tends to trend across Twitter, which is really exciting, like at midnight. And yeah, it's super fun. Please, join us. I also have some pretty big announcements to make. One of them is that this show is no longer on Jabberjaw Media. We are moving to our own network. Yes, that's right. This show will now be a part of the Wilder Entertainment Network, which is, well, much like Nerdist Industries that Chris Hardwick built, that started with the Nerdist podcast and grew into what he refers to as a many-headed beast. Wilder Entertainment is moving towards that direction. So this show, Friend or Foe, please ignore the ambulance going on in the background. I am recording this in the most quiet and secure place I can, but it's LA and those things happen. Anyway, there will be a lot of big changes coming up, one of which I can't announce just yet, but for now, we have a new jingle. It's totally silly and very short and very makeshift, but it's what I put together for now. Here we go with that. Please enjoy our episode with author Caroline Kepnes on Wilder Entertainment. See, once again, that was all really interesting conversation that I wish we had gotten on tape. That always happens every time.
Yep.
All of the most engaging stuff happens before, the record button is hit. So here we are. Once again at Nerdist Studios. Welcome to our guest, Caroline Kepnes.
Yes, very good.
Hooray!
Hooray!
Caroline is an renowned author. She wrote You, among... Well, tell us all about the books that you've written and about you and about you yourself.
Well, thank you for having me here. This is fun already. Yeah.
Hooray! Yeah. I'm glad.
Let's see. So You was my first, about Joe Goldberg. And my friend says it really well where he describes it as homeland for fucking. I'm like, that's something that,
Yeah.
Yes. When you think about it.
Apropos, yeah.
Yes. And then I wrote the sequel, Hidden Bodies. And I do want to write another one. I just don't have it on the books planned just yet because I just have a new book coming out in June. Another twisted, sick, nice little story. And
I love twisted, sick, nice little stories.
That's how I think of it.
Yeah.
They are my favorite.
May I ask you about your process? Because you said it's on the books, but it's not, you're ready, but it's not scheduled.
It's in my head.
Yep.
So I'll write, I like to write more than one thing at once. So right now I have a book coming out in June. So there's that. That's done. The writing is all done. Mm-hmm. But I just started writing a book a month ago. So now my friends know that I'm just really moody with it. Where one week I'm like, you guys, I figured it out. Do you want to go out? I'm fine. Everything's done. And then the next, when you open and you read and you're like, oh, I'm not done. I'm worse than not done. I'm I have to tear it all up. So it's this process of getting deeper and deeper into it. But I always think about the character. And it's that's where it just goes back to what is interesting about this? What is advancing? Like, not in terms of the plot, but in terms of the reader, like, even, like, me reading it, like, do I care?
Yeah.
And if I don't care, I'm like, yeah, I'm not in it.
So you start with character? Mm-hmm. Do you create a roadmap for yourself first, or do you just start writing?
I like maps, yes.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm both ways, where I like to elaborately map and then, like, kind of throw the map away, and then next week go back to it and be like, no, the map was good, and then kind of wind up somewhere in the middle.
That's what I do with my notes for this show.
Yes. But it's nice. It's like you're making your own Whoopi, that there it is. And, like,
Yeah.
you know, no matter what, it's a nice fantasy, too, that, like, the answers were always there. You know?
Yes.
There's some major deep-seated mindfuckery going on with all of the characters in your show. Now, Libby, I apologize. We were just talking about this before we started recording. I have seen the show.
Pineapple.
Pineapple!
Safe word.
Our safe word is pineapple today. It's our secret word. But I got the very awesome opportunity to see the first 2 episodes at a focus group, which I'm not supposed to talk about, but who cares? They already let me in through the doors, and now it already happened. And it's wonderful and amazing and super dark and just crazy go nuts. Like the intro into, I haven't read the book yet, but I'm sure it's as enthralling. Like the first few minutes of the show, you're like, oh, this dude is cool. I like this guy. I'm into it. Like, this guy is good. And then right off the deep end.
Like it always is the case in life.
I guess so, yeah.
Oh, something just, oh, there it is. Did I?
Oh, did you lose your volume for a second?
Yeah. What do I?
Let's wiggle a bunch of things.
There it is. Thank you. You wiggle good.
Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle.
As long as I didn't do it. I'm like, I'm not touching anything anymore.
While we're at it, this is my volume, right, Aristotle? For my headphones?
Number 2.
Yeah, that's number 2. I followed the chord. I have excellent hearing because I'm a drummer and I protect my hearing all the time.
Another talent.
I keep earplugs on my keychain, so I almost always the volume is too loud, but I don't think of it until the end of the podcast, and I'm like, man, I just got shouted at. Yeah.
Last time it was really bad. So.
No. Now I'm on it.
You're okay.
Look at us solving technical difficulties.
Libby
in
is
the
a
middle
true
of the
paragon
podcast.
of talent. Seriously, like she drums, she speaks French, she
Lifting the weights.
Lifting weights.
And it is a talent to do that once a week, to have that
It's a
kind
commitment for
Yes.
sure. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we were just talking about some of your writers. We can say the writers, right?
Oh, of course.
Sure.
Yeah. That's up on IMDb. That's,
right. Well, we wanted to be able to talk to him, but because of all the secrets.
I know.
So my friend Neil Reynolds got to write on your show, which is exciting for when I get to finally see it and see everybody's hard work. And so that's it loops back to the weightlifting because Neil's wife, Sarah, and I lift weights together once a week. And we are Glob, the gorgeous ladies of bodybuilding.
Yes.
That's so cool.
And Neil is terrific. Just was a good writer's room.
Did you go shoot in New York too?
Yep.
Awesome.
Yes.
What kind of offset shenanigans did you guys get up to?
It was a good sized video village. There were a lot of people. There were a lot of conversations. That's what I like about the material. It leads to everyone having interesting talks.
Yeah.
Yes.
And what sort of things from your own life shenanigans did you draw on to create this
I'll never
work?
say.
I'll never tell.
Just say in mild ways, I've been on both sides of the equation. I think everyone has. I think that's what it comes from, of also the way your imagination works or how you think of what you're doing, you know? Like in college, I could be a little obsessive at moments, and I guess after college, and that's when this book takes place. So for me, a lot of it was examining that young self behavior and cringing, but also, oh, it's sweet, it's earnest, you know? And I see that in both Beck and Joe, the two characters.
Yeah. And it's kind of over. I mean, the young self is
Right, well,
over
when,
for...
So,
unless maybe you are still so...
I'm like, I just walked myself into that.
Are you
I'm an interested person. Yes, I have an obsessive streak in my personality, and I like to see how other people manage theirs.
Yeah.
And I can watch the same thing over and over again. I can obsess over something, and it's good. But then it's like anything. There's also a dark side to it.
I'm watching you closely now. I'm a little worried. No, I'm just kidding.
But it's just the little things about people. Like just when you get an insight into someone and then you just carry it around and think about it. Like just now in the coffee shop, a woman said they offered us water, and I said it's fascinating when someone offers me water. I'm like, I say no, like just off. And it's the thing that you're supposed to be drinking. And the woman was sitting at the counter was like, oh, I have an alarm that goes off every 15 minutes every single day that tells me to take a sip. And I was like, couldn't stop thinking about this the whole way here. Like, Can you even imagine if you were getting electrocuted every 15 minutes to drink water? Yeah, and I love when
really
people just
random.
say things like that. I feel like we're all just going as a world like crazier all the time. Like,
I like how you jumped from alarm to electrocuted. I assume you're talking about the phone vibration.
Yes.
But I immediately
I'm a flinchy person, but to me, anything pinching you every 15 minutes on any level, like, and also introducing that willfully into your life, like
absolutely. Well, and I'm sure that there are alarms that electrocute you the same way people like snap themselves with rubber bands and stuff.
Or that fingernail polish, so you stop eating your nails or chewing them. Not eating, but
I used to do that. I used to nibble on my fingernails. Yeah. It's just a nervous tick, you know. Mm-hmm. Everyone leads sort of a double life. Yes. No matter how, innocent you seem, there's always something.
Sometimes the more innocent you seem.
Usually. I find
frequently.
that's very much the case. How do you feel about the cast as it came together?
Oh, wonderful. I mean, and I've seen it, so it's like pineapple, but it's just so exciting, everyone is really like in it and totally committed, and I think that's what it is too, especially with Joe. Like there has to be that over the top willingness to be that person and like let him be that obsessive.
Did you have any say so? Did you coordinate with the casting director and stuff like that?
I tried. They're all. I mean, these are people. They make so much TV. They know what they're doing, and they're all so kind and so loving of the work. And it's been a lovely process. Yes. And it's so fun just to see things that, like, the way you can picture them over years and they change in your mind, and then to see it work out like this, it's this beautiful tapestry.
Amazing. So you had a fair amount of control. I mean, a lot of control.
I would not control, like, it's just, they're not, so we talk, like, they're just cool people where it's been interactive. Like, if something, if there was something that I didn't like, I would feel like I could say something.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're good people.
Awesome.
Yes. And it wasn't like there was any difference of interpretation of the material. Like that's what made me so happy from day one. Like Greg and Sarah, they just have those smile. Like they get the book, they love it. I'm like, when it's like that, everything's fine.
Yeah. We chatted for a minute before the recording started.
The button was pushed.
Before the button was pushed about diaries, about keeping a childhood diary. Did you continue to keep a diary? And
there's that point when you start calling it a journal.
Right.
So I think sometime in my late teens, early 20s, it was a journal. It went from pink to like a notebook.
Do you journal about like your daily activities, or like my journal, I just randomly write down literally anything I think of? But
it's that again, like a lot of that like inventory keeping.
Yeah.
And it would then when I was a child, it was very like today this person did this, and I ate this, and I want this, and I'm mad about this, and I'm happy about this, and then there's some resolution of like tomorrow, this is what I want, and of course all the declarations of love. Yes. And the gaps of there being no explanation between why one thing was one day and then 2 days later, like, I despise this person. I'm like, what happened?
Right.
Yeah. And then older, I feel like kind of more self-conscious reflection, where there's one point when you're writing and when you're journaling that much and you imagine someone else finding it and how you would want to see him, and you can tell when that enters into it, as opposed to that child, like,
Do you feel like that?
Those are the most endearing ones.
Do you feel like the motivation of someone will find this journal and they'll want to read an eloquent author, that was part of leading you into the world of being an author?
I've always been a little morbid. Like when I was 10, I wrote this I was 9, a long will that was like 5 pages long, where I'm giving away my lamps. And I'm like, why did the lamps get in there? That's what always stands out.
Are they good lamps?
No, I was a little kid. I had like 2 lamps.
Maybe I want those lamps.
Totally unremarkable lamps. I'll never know why. I saw fit to I have to talk about these lamps. And deciding who I give what to. And then it was also a testament of everything I, want to do and hope to do. And on the last page, it's like, I want to live fast and die old. And then I signed it, and I put the date and the time and everything.
Yeah.
So I feel like I've always just thought a lot about death. And then the older I get, the more I think about it, of like what you leave behind and,
Yeah.
And I like reading other people's diaries. I mean, when they're published, not sneaking into someone's house. Go on now.
You're not breaking and entering and just walking out with the diary.
No. But when my friends got me an Airbnb last year I probably shouldn't say this, but for my birthday, and I was like, the first thing I'm doing is opening up drawers, and they're like, what? I'm like, this is the best present ever, like to get to go through someone's stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like, so that is part of it. I mean, anyone would lock up anything. Yeah, but I found things that were, forgotten and...
Any man's trash is definitely my treasure.
But yeah, they're like, there's a pool out back. It's this nice house. I'm like, just you guys go out swimming. I'm going to be in here for a while. Like,
I was just walking around the other day on the sidewalk. Someone had left a Millennium Falcon. The whole Millennium Falcon. Not a model, but the toy. And I was trying to figure out if it was an original release or one of the newer ones, like a re-release or whatever. I think it was one of the original Millennium Falcons. And I'm like,
is
somebody
it your
just
Millennium
trashed...
Falcon now?
that's very dark. I mean,
well, here's the thing. As much as I wanted it, and I did, I was actually on my way to a wag walk. I couldn't have put it in my pocket, and I knew it was going to be gone by the time I got back. So I balled up all of my nerd pride and just left it there. I did take a picture,
Do you think someone was packing up the car and they left it there?
No, man, it was junk.
Trashed.
There was like a chair and a VCR and
Maybe someone's just real mad at George Lucas right now. It's like a break.
Maybe.
It's like they broke up with Star Wars.
It was really faded though, and it got. Oh no, that's so sad, Libby. But yeah, it had a bunch of pieces missing.
I mean, who knows who's been earnest about.
But that is the Millennium Falcon. It's the fastest running piece of trash in the sky. So
that's right.
There you go. They would appreciate that if they knew that you.
I was really excited to see it.
Yeah.
But,
well, this is funny. I wanted to loop back to the Airbnb thing because I host at Airbnb, and I don't necessarily expect people not to go through my things. I don't lock that many things up. I only lock up things that I lock up the liquor because I'm going to want it when I come back to my house.
Right. What about photo albums?
No, all my photo albums are out. I have like 20 countries worth of photo albums from when I took 35 millimeter pictures, and my yearbooks are out, and then I have like the most eclectic book collection. I mean, I leave the Kama Sutra out, but also like
the Dr.
Confederacy
Seuss.
of Dunces and Dr. Seuss is definitely right next to it because they're the same height. The Kama Sutra and the Sneetches are
of course they are.
the same height of book. But that makes me kind of think that I mean, certainly there's interesting things to find in my house, but that I should put out a request to my guests to write me a note about what sort of interesting things they discovered.
Their analysis of
or
you.
who they think I am.
Yeah, no, that's where I just think it's fascinating.
What's available in my house.
We've never had this before, this extent of like sharing and and letting people into your personal spaces. It's the same way with an Uber.
Yeah.
Suddenly you're in someone's car.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
And I love the dynamic where they're like, what music do you want? And the other people that are like, I'm going to blast this and you can get out or not. Like, it's such an interesting everyday two-way street.
Yeah. I like that a lot about Airbnb. I much prefer to stay in someone's, as a guest, to stay in someone's home, especially if I go somewhere that has a much different culture.
Yep.
Like the United States is nice too, but we all have a lot of similar customs. But if I go to India or to Japan or to wherever, then it's nice to be like, oh, look at this. And I pull a lot of those things too. I'm like, oh, look at this clever way that they store this thing. I'm going to do that in my house. Or like...
you're getting the real life. It's the opposite of a concierge, where this person's being paid to tell me that hot dog is is great. Like
it feels like a more authentic experience of the place. And I like welcoming people to my house too, because if I'm not there to enjoy it.
Do you meet them when they come?
I don't, because my home that I Airbnb is in Seattle, which is my hometown.
Okay.
And I sort of split my time between states, and so usually I have them go to my favorite coffee shop, which is Makeda and Mingus, and the owner there also helps me take care of my house.
Oh, that's ideal.
So everybody kind of gets to meet. Everybody gets to see, like, oh, look,
they get a neighborhood.
Here we are, in this is what my face looks like, and they get the key and they get a coffee, and then they can go enjoy my home. But I love giving recommendations because there's so many good things to do.
Do you have a binder with all the advice about everything? Yes.
Yeah, I do. And discounts, neighborhood discounts. Come stay at my house.
Yes.
I still have to do that.
Yeah.
It's time for a trip to Seattle, I think.
Yeah.
Why not?
Well, we'll get both of you to come stay at my house. And
Okay,
there you go.
great.
Write an analysis of who you think I am based on whatever you find in cupboards and drawers.
We'll record a part 2 of this.
Yeah.
And while we're sneaking around.
Well,
over
these
there.
people, what fascinated me was they locked the master bedroom, and there was
Yes.
just something a little like I get that that's normal, but
Yeah.
of course it makes you wonder that was all I wanted to see.
Yeah.
But then they had also had all of these very political pictures and posters, and they put them all in one room in the back, and that was interesting
Oh.
too. Just like I thought, was that purposeful, or is that for us, or was that
What were their politics?
like selfies with George Bush?
Oh, senior? Or
Yeah.
George W. George W. That's fun. It's fun to know that your Airbnb host
Yes, like just
was taking
it's like,
selfies with George Bush Sr.
Why not?
Do you do a lot of
And it's a way
traveling?
of hiding things, but not hiding them. That's what was strange to me. I'm like, I understand putting it all in the bedroom, but it was funny to me to leave just a little taste out. But I guess they didn't think of it that way.
Well, I leave a few things. Like I leave some photographs and stuff out. I don't put all, or I have photographs on my fridge. But I moved them to the side of my fridge instead of the front of my fridge because there were some people who complained. They were like, "Oh, I went to stay in this person's home," and everything about my description, I use the word home a bunch of times. I say when I'm, if I'm not here, it's because I'm traveling for work, etc. But there are people who will be like, "Oh, this house was amazing. I loved the neighborhood, but there's a picture of her and her mom on the fridge. I don't like that."
Really?
And I'm like, "My mom is hot."
Yeah, I'm like, why would you
You
object
stop
to that?
This is a great.
That's right.
This
But
is a
that's
great
interesting. I guess
photograph.
there are so many people that have places that are just for that, so there's nothing intimate or at all in the home. Is
Yeah.
that what it is? And so
I
there's
think so. I think, the only guests that I've had, not exactly problems, but contention with, or they've left negative information on the reviews, are all people who wanted it to be a hotel.
Right.
And it's not a hotel, it's my home.
No.
Anyway. But do you do a lot of traveling?
Relatively, yes.
Do you have favorite places?
Let's see. I went to Australia. That
Ooh.
was magical. I mean, just as magical as you want it to be.
The Outback too, or
No,
coast?
just Sydney and Brisbane.
Cool.
Yes, but held a koala.
Yeah.
Poor
Very
koala.
cool.
Yeah, scared the living shit out of her, but held her, like a good Afro-American. Yes.
She's like, authors are scary.
Yeah, it was fine, and they take the picture.
Yeah.
And then suddenly she turned her head, and I can't explain it, but it was like I told myself, and also the whole warning about chlamydia they give you right as they hand.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and by the way,
Don't lick
they all have
Surprise.
chlamydia. Like here, her name's Cinnamon. Like watch your fingers. And they're looking out, and then her head just turns, and something about that like freaked me out, and my body language changed, and
It
I
was like
screamed a little.
really slow turn, like
Yes,
an
it was.
animated toy.
Yes, because yes.
Oh man.
Yes, and so
Yee.
then she dug in a little, but I'm, no.
You're okay. You survived.
Yes, I survived.
Okay,
They gave her
that's
the
good.
rest of the day off.
Oh, wow. Maybe
That was nice.
Maybe that was her goal. Maybe she's
Yeah, right.
aware.
Yeah, I don't blame her. Yes.
Yeah.
One shot and I'm done today.
Yep.
That's it. Chilling in the hammock.
And yeah, I just really liked it there, except for they put mayonnaise in burritos. They're random food things that I was like, how? Why would you, why?
Did you set them straight?
I did, but then they just look at you like you're crazy.
Anywhere else that you loved visiting?
Yes, Sweden. I want to go back there.
Oh, I love Sweden too.
Yeah, I was there so briefly. It was great. And then London. Yeah, and then I spent about not half the year, but a lot of time in Massachusetts, where I grew up.
Oh, fun. Where in
Yeah.
Massachusetts?
Cape Cod.
Okay. I have
Like right here.
Yeah, I have some friends from the Cape, and my boyfriend grew up in Newton, outside of Boston.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you went to Brown.
Yep.
Cool.
Yes.
One of my random notes. That's just,
Yes, I did.
just
Cross
throwing
that
it
off
in.
your map.
Yep. Joop.
Done.
Check.
Where did you guys go?
I went to the University of Puget Sound in Tacoma, Washington, and NYU.
Wow. Okay, Puget. Have you ever seen the show Cedar Cove?
No,
That's
should
one of
I?
those things that I got into an obsessive. Like I lost 2 days of my life to Cedar Cove. It was the most calming, just relaxing show, and
All
it's
right.
all Pacific Northwest.
This is what my list is for.
Just like I thought, this is like there must be heroin like in the TV. It's just
Interesting.
very.
That is
That's how I would imagine
I
heroin.
mean, that's
a
a
very
good
curious
plug.
So relaxing.
descriptor.
Like-
I like that.
Where can you find Cedar Cove?
I believe it's on Netflix.
Is it on Netflix?
I think
Okay.
so. Yeah.
All right, we'll check that out.
Yes. And it's the one not nice thing is that after all of that relaxing, like, it's that gentle syrup, like everything, it's this small little hamlet. and everything's fine, and there's drama, but it's all really readily resolved and in a sweet way, and then it ends on a cliffhanger, and you never know, and I'm like, you bastard, like, bring it back.
So it's heroin right up until the last episode, and then it's cocaine.
Cold turkey, bitch. Yes.
Cool. I like how Devlin keeps a list of things that he already knows he wants to talk about, and I don't know what I want to talk about. I keep a blank page for when people give me
That's a good combination.
awesome recommendations.
Right. That's why we work well together.
That's the definition of teamwork.
It really is.
It's a pretty good fit.
Yes.
I was reading that the show, was originally slated for Showtime, and then Lifetime picked it up. Which with those focus groups, they always have, on the sheet where would you expect to find the show? And I wrote
interesting.
Showtime, Netflix, HBO, and I found out it was Lifetime, and it was truly mind blowing because not that they can't handle this kind of show, just that that's not their typical fare. So I found that really interesting.
Yeah. Well, have you seen Unreal?
No.
So Unreal is terrific. It's about a show that's like The Bachelor and the behind the scenes of it, and it's very like dark. It's different from the movies. I feel like there are kind of two different lifetimes.
Episodes.
Yeah,
it's basically like a behind the scenes of a reality.
Yes,
show,
of a Bachelor
right?
type show.
Yeah.
Yes, and very biting and dark, and it's a good home. And
Cool.
the people, they're just really excited about the development process was great, and yeah. And
That's awesome.
another Greg and Sarah they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
They certainly do.
As you saw. Yeah.
It's fascinating to watch. I am itching to death. It's just you gotta come back.
Yes.
I know. We're not at
when
the
we
end
can
of-
have like show club. I know. Yes. But I
Yes.
loved the pacing, like without going too pineapple, like that. What you said about the beginning, because that was something I really liked. That it was this slow, like draw you in, like somehow it's almost hypnotic.
Yes.
And then
that's a great word. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I thought they really did that beautifully. And I'm excited. Yeah.
And the music too. The music really
know.
plays into it very, very well.
Yes.
And
the social media, the energy of that, and the way they're jumping into it. I think that's okay to say
so
because that's so much in the
creepy.
book too.
It's creepy as hell, man.
Well, and it's where, like, especially for me, like when I wrote this book of kind of about this guy who doesn't participate in it, but he's judging everyone's, because it's that awful line that we're all on of like, oh, when people say I'm done with it, I'm taking a break, and I don't care what anyone thinks. It's like, well, yes, you do. If you were really taking a break, you would just take a break.
You just
That's
leave.
right.
When you're announcing it, you're out. Yeah. And then on the flip side, there are the people that, I see a lot of people more and more lately being like, I'm addicted, I'm going to take a few days off. And I think that's healthy and also sad, but it's basically that it's a learning experience for everyone. And Joe, the character, he's just isn't, because he doesn't participate, feels above it in a way that I think is unusual more and more, because most of us have experienced, dealt with it in some way. We all have one account at least, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I have all the accounts, and
Yes.
I really am a social media bug. I'm all over it, and I find myself doing that, and just checking it at inopportune moments.
Yeah,
and
but then when I
shouldn't be.
I feel like I put this permanent judgment voice in my head now that whenever I do it, or like the next day I'm like, ew, I'm like, oh, Joe would be like disgusted. But then I'm like, he's a fucking murderer. But that's what it is. Yeah, like.
What's your favorite sort of thing to share on your social media?
I think spontaneous discoveries, which in that way there aren't that many of them. But like today, I'm in my new book. This guy goes to his girlfriend's house. The girl goes to her boyfriend's house, and there's disgusting food. So I was like, what could be the worst kind of thing? So I'm just Googling like words that scare me, like tuna. And there it is, like tuna on waffles with olives, and olives are like my least favorite thing in the world. I can't stand so this picture just
all
made
the
me.
olives? You hate all the olives?
Yes. Mm-hmm. So there are lots of olives.
I will eat your olives, especially if they're stuffed.
You
with
sound
blue
like
cheese.
my mom. Yes. There must be a gene for that, because
There could be.
yeah, because vinegar too. I can't stand.
Yeah, I mean
that.
it's all in the same sort of flavor profile. Do you not like pickles?
No, that's where it all goes out the window. And making sense.
Yeah,
I love
I mean-
pickles, but when I'm reminded that there's vinegar in them, I'm like, no.
Oh, okay, so we can give you pickles. We can't tell you how they're
Exactly.
made.
Yes. I'll just pretend.
Okay.
But yeah, that kind of thing. That's like, I'm like, wow. And then I get international covers of books, and that's exciting too. And yeah. Yes. What about you guys?
You share everything.
Uh-oh,
but
here
there's,
it comes.
There's so much,
Here we
Now
go.
it begins.
you're up to so many good things to promote And so you're so good at it. So I'm much better. I'm much better at reposting your.
I really try, especially for the show. But I got to get the show stuff out there. I got to talk about the guests. Got to talk about what we're doing.
I'll tell you, I have a weird social media relationship because I feel really bad about sharing good news. I share it on LinkedIn because it's more of a professional.
LinkedIn it's kind of my favorite sometimes.
Yeah, because I mean that feels like a good place to.
There are no babies on LinkedIn, like
right, and no cat pictures and no food,
so funny.
No food pictures.
If the aliens came and they saw LinkedIn first, imagine what they would think of us. Like,
So that's where I feel like it's good to brag professionally on LinkedIn because it's a professional site.
Well, yeah, that's what it's open about that. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and I love sharing on Instagram and Facebook, this show and when I get to have awesome collaborations because I love to build up the people I got to collaborate with. But I don't want to share good news on my normal personal profile, and I don't want to share bad news either. It's like my Facebook is super benign. It's just dumb jokes.
I get that.
And discoveries. And sometimes adorable pictures.
It's another, because now it's all the different worlds you live in. Like, to me, like, if you, let's say you've just talked to a friend who's having, like, the day from hell, but something good happened to you, and you're like, I have to, it's not have to, but it's, like, part of the...
Yeah, that's
You're
exactly
right, like, things are going,
I'm connected to, at least 1,000 people here.
Yeah.
What if 500 of them are real mad that I had such a great
and in that way,
day?
that's not personal. Like, we all have our moods and our sensitivities. To me, that's where it all makes me feel crazy. You know?
Yeah, it's so tough. It's, like, way more... I make it way more nuanced than it needs to be.
Right.
But it causes me a little bit of anxiety.
I love that about your post, though, because I have that issue. I've posted things on Facebook that I really shouldn't post about the super bad day that I'm having.
Do you do the, like, you got, like, if you don't hear from me, like, the world is a horrible place?
Yes.
Like, do you do that kind of...
Okay. Yeah, don't do that.
I know, guys. I'm sorry.
Call the police.
Right?
Well, then I'll leave them up for a couple days and then I'll delete it.
You delete? Yeah.
And just get rid of it. It doesn't need to be there.
Because it's that erasing history. Like, that's where, like...
Yeah,
that's
creepy.
That's true.
Because it's kind of a journal.
But
it is,
now with the memories, with the flashbacks, it will come up 2 and 3 and multiple
Even
times.
Even if you delete it, is it still in
later.
memories? Yeah, I had that time off for a
not
while.
if,
I was like, this is unhealthy.
Not if
like,
you delete it. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Because I know if I leave it there, it'll come back to haunt me. Because of course those posts get a lot of attention, which is the ones that resurface in the flashbacks. Mm-hmm. So yeah, feeling good today, guys.
Yeah, all right.
It's all good.
It's good. I mean, you can always call me. You can always call.
Aw, you're so sweet.
Call me directly if you're feeling down, and not necessarily broadcast it to thousands of unsuspecting.
Retweeting too is also my like awkward thing that I don't know who said it, but a couple years ago, and I'm sure it's been said a lot of times. Like every time you retweet something good someone said about you, like a little piece of your soul just goes out the window. But at the same time, when that person said something, it's their voice.
Yeah.
But I always have that like skeevy. Ooh. Like
yeah, it's pretty complicated.
It's very complicated. Yeah, and it's interesting how your mood does come through in ways that you don't realize. Like, but you can see a few days later, like, oh, I can tell I was in a mood, and like, and trying to hide it. Like I think that's fun to study other people and see the underlying.
There's definitely a voyeuristic quality to being a writer in general, but then that's where there's like so much self-reflection because if you're kind of spying on everyone else, then you have to also spy on yourself.
Oh yeah,
which is what the book is all about.
Yes.
It's very intriguing.
This is my most important question of the day. Having not consumed either the book or the TV show yet, because the show's not available, but they're both on my radar, which do I consume first?
I think simply because there's time, like you read the book first.
Okay.
And then you watch the show.
Okay. Yeah. Because the show is
is not out this month.
It's not gonna, that reading the book first isn't gonna.
Oh, I see. I don't know. But you can do it both ways. It's the same way I've had people that have read Hidden Bodies first, and then they're like, oh my God, there's a prequel. And I love that about the world too, that like there are different ways to consume. I mean, that's where there will be a lot of people that see the show before they read the book. And with me, I've seen a lot of things before I read the book. And I don't think there's anything.
Yeah, well,
I just mean like I feel like my readers have been so like, when is it coming? When is it coming? So I'm like, it's not coming now, but here are things you can do right now today. Like,
gotcha.
Yes,
So I can go either way.
yeah, you can go either way.
I had a moment.
I mean, no author's gonna be like, oh, don't read the book. Like, but
well, no, of course I want to read the book, but here's why this is a very serious issue for me. So I can't remember exactly the year, the 90s, Dances with Wolves. I read the book Dances with Wolves that was sitting on my family bookshelf. So good.
Yeah.
Very, very, very good book. And then the movie came out and I was like, oh, great. I'll watch the movie. The movie was so bad by comparison to the book that I was like, God damn it, I am never reading the book first again. Because if you watch the movie...
You're breaking your own heart.
Yeah, if you watch the movie, you get... And people loved the movie Dances with Wolves, but I'm still very angry about it.
I'm one of those people. I love, like, The Lovely Bones is one of my favorite books of all time. I read that over and over. That was one of my, like, big obsessions. And I love the movie, too. And it's different. In that movie, like, people hate it, and people that love the book hate it. But I'm like, I love them both as separate entities.
Okay.
And I don't know.
Yeah. So since then, my feeling has I've had, like, a very strict policy of, like, I'll go see the movie first and get, like, a taste. And then I'll, like, delve into all the little nooks and crannies and details and nuance of the book.
Yes.
But sometimes, especially with TV, which is nice because we didn't make your book into a 90-minute movie. We made it into...
Yes, I'm so happy.
What is it?
It's 10 hours to start.
It's
like that.
Right.
That's a dream.
10 hours, which makes it probably equal because you had the time. You weren't having to pick and choose bits and throw out characters because there wasn't time.
Exactly.
In a 90-minute movie. So my policy is changing because of the TV landscape. And the opportunity
and then the
to
way
like
you can
really
grow.
make the book.
Like I love The Leftovers so much, and that I love that book. I love that show, but it's fascinating to see like the show grow and like there was only the one book and then the many seasons, and I don't know. It's a good process.
Okay,
you can't go wrong either way. I just meant that if you can join the people then that have read the book and are like, when is the show going? When is the show coming? Right. But I also understand.
Well, as soon as this read for my militant book club is over, then your book is next on my list.
Book clubs are so militant.
my book club is very serious.
I'm so glad that you asked that question. I've had experiences on all scopes of that too. I had that same terrible experience for me with Wicked because I saw the amazing, magical, wonderful Broadway production. Well, not on Broadway. I saw it in St. Louis, but I saw the stage production, and then I read the book, and they are worlds apart. And it was just like the book really didn't have a lot of magic. It had next to no magic in it, actually. And she wasn't really coming into her own. It was a whole thing.
It's because the Broadway people demanded more glitter.
but then one of my favorite movies of all time, and one of the movies that created the me that is Neverending Story. And the author has been famously, quoted as saying he hates the movie. Like he hates what they did with his precious book. And of course it's originally in German, so I have never
I haven't read that book yet.
I haven't either.
Owned or read the book. But like every time I watch that movie, I am filled. Like that
it's an amazing
takes
movie.
me
I love that
to
movie.
such incredible places. Like I watched that movie to feel
is so scary.
So scary, and
that's a real transporting. Yes.
Yeah.
Transporting. Yes, absolutely. But I need to brush up on my.
Was the book was it published here in English and all that?
No, it was originally published in Germany. I mean, it's.
But then did it come here?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
They must
sure
have
they're
translated
English
it.
translations.
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, I wonder how he feels about those.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Pretty interesting.
It's
though.
funny. That's the first negative thing I've ever heard surrounding that movie. It's like it's one of those movies everyone loves it.
Oh yeah, and
interesting.
like all of the actors went their own way after that.
Maybe
like,
we need to
Tammy
get in touch
Stronach
with
is
them for a reunion podcast.
Listen, I communicated with Tammy Stronach, the Childlike Empress. I communicated with her PR once upon a time, and she. This was for the previous show that I co-hosted, and she was booked, and then it was a whole thing, Hollywood drama.
Well, now it's back out in the universe
but it's
again.
now,
Maybe
it's now 2018, baby.
Yeah,
Make it
that's a
happen.
good plan.
maybe she'll join us.
She's a ballet instructor. She's doing many great things.
Fun.
Yeah. What are you looking forward to now? You said you are writing.
But I'm writing a new book now. Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
And how's that going?
It's great. It's always the weirdest time when it's just sleep is just kind of impossible. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like it won't stop talking.
Are you able to sleep? Are you one of those people that isn't able to sleep, or just like while you're doing a project?
It's like a binge. I feel like I'll go a few days where I don't sleep very much, and then especially when it's this point with the book, then I wake up really early and I just sit there and go. And then get to a grouchy point, and then a few drinks, and then sleep. I'm like, oh, wow. And I'm like, do most people do this every day? This is great.
Do you just wake up and grab your laptop? And,
Yep.
I do that a lot. Where I'm like, and then it's
I believe in mornings. I don't know. Like
1 in the afternoon. I'm like, I should get out of my bed. I mean, I've been working all this time.
But isn't it weird?
But
Yeah,
like,
because it's that
also-
ancient childhood thing that like you feel guilt about doing being in bed working. But I'm like, no, this is allowed.
Yeah,
this is
but
okay.
you're
Like
getting your work
It's taken me a
done.
long time to be like, I'm not being a lazy bones.
No, but yeah, you definitely get to that point where it's like, I better make sure my legs still work. And
Oh, I know.
And maybe I could go get some coffee.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or talk out loud.
Talk out loud?
I've gone a couple, I'll go.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, when I was writing my first book, I had vocal cord issues, so I couldn't talk out loud, and I had to go around with a notebook. And
Oh, no.
yes, it's one of those things that I block things out, and that came up in a Facebook memory where I was like, oh, like the notebook that said, my vocal cords are broken, like, please be patient. I'm like, that was fucking real? Like, that's right. I never think about it. Like, I forget.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. Well,
That's
I'm
wild.
glad they fixed you all up in
Indeed.
time for a
Yes.
podcast.
Yes.
It would have been a very interesting podcast.
It sure would have. Oh, we could totally do
You
a
could
sign
do
language
that.
podcast.
Because it was something, it's good for writing too, because so much, like I have all the notebooks from when I would go out to lunch, but so many times, like there are so many smiley faces because things sound one way. There's no tone. It's almost like texting in person.
Right.
Where you say something and you have to be like, no, I'm kidding. Like smiley is the easiest way to be like, haha. Like,
Yeah.
So I'm like,
That's so interesting.
yeah, it's good. The notebooks are,
Oh, maybe you'll publish those someday.
you never know.
That would be really
an
interesting.
anthology or something. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd
That'd
be
pretty neat.
like a choose your own conversation
Yeah.
book because it would
Oh.
only be the one side
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
of the conversation.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's
But then there's
fascinating.
nothing more punishing than one side of a conversation, right? Like,
It depends on
I
how
almost-
imaginative you are.
well, I mean, like when you're somewhere and someone's talking on the phone.
Oh.
I'm like, that's not fun for the person talking. It's not fun for the person around them. And the person on the other end of the phone can probably sense that they're in a distracted place.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like when you're in line and someone's on the phone.
Right.
Or on a bus and it's like, why,
Yeah, I work a lot at a coffee shop, and then but if I take a phone call, I'll go for like a long walk around the block. So
yeah,
that-
like that makes sense to me because that's how you get to focus and have a degree of
Have a
privacy.
conversation,
It's
yeah.
just that it's a thing that fascinates me about people.
I always pace when I'm on the phone. So I have
you're
to.
one- yeah.
I usually have to be standing up when I'm on the phone. It's just a thing that I do.
Can't take phone calls
Which is
sitting down.
really, really bad in my apartment because there's only signal as long as I'm in the kitchen. As soon as I cross into the living room, I always get cut off.
Ooh, so you have paced around that kitchen.
I do. There's track marks in the tile.
The floor
in
is
there.
worn.
You know, I was just while you were discussing that, it just made me think: is it still an autobiography if you're speaking from a dissociative disorder? Like, if you have multiple personalities, is it still an autobiography?
It could be both.
Yeah.
I suppose it could.
It could be
Biography.
Write a biography and an autobiography in the same book. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's good thinking.
Yes.
Interesting.
And what do you call it when it's not enough information to officially be a biography, but it's more like a report, a historical reporting of things that I found for this person.
Right. I think that's
Like
the sort
a
of
fourth
thing
grade
that
book
you.
report kind of thing, in the
Kind of.
topic sentence,
Well, and I'll have to look. We my militant book club just read Stacy Schiff's Cleopatra, which I think might officially be a biography, but even throughout the whole book, she's like, I don't really know because there's very little about this person. So here's an amalgamation of all the stuff that's available, like coins and like war records.
And
or
then does
whatever.
she have theories,
And
or
then-
does she try and stay?
And then here's my theory based on all this information. But I wouldn't call it it's not a straight biography because there isn't enough information to determine. There must be. There's a subgenre word for everything. So
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
there's a portmanteau floating around somewhere.
But what a good woman of mystery, Cleopatra, in that way. Like that's something we don't. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, great book. I really enjoyed that one. Good. Lots of interesting info. Do you have that thing when you're working in the mornings? We were talking about like making sure your voice works, where like you've been working for hours and someone calls and then like,
it's the worst.
you can't answer the phone, or you sound like
You've got that
sound
glottal
like
fry.
right Oscar the Grouch.
Yeah.
It's horrible. Yes.
Everybody thinks they woke you up, even though you've been like working for 6 hours.
Yeah, and no matter what you say, like if you were doing it in bed, no,
Absolutely.
like it just doesn't. Which I understand. I mean, when I've had jobs where it was like I had to leave the house no matter what I wanted. There's a certain, that's not the same as staying in bed. So I get it.
Totally. Thematically or tonally, do you feel like you're going to continue sticking with a similar voice, or do you have some really like out there ideas that you want to explore?
To me, it's similar in the sense that it's just it's always first person, and it's always deep inside someone's head. Like my new book has 3 different perspectives, and it's different from the Joe books, but to me, it's similar in the sense that each person is in their own kind of pain and trying to figure out why and trying to solve, their problem. So, and that's my new book too. Like it's all, but just going deeper and deeper into the weird places in the head.
Cool.
Yeah, I feel like that's what I wrote a lot of short stories before I started writing books, and they were always like that. That just seems to be what I do.
Yeah.
Yes.
What are your favorite books?
Oh God! Oh, that question. Because
now I've done it.
No, because it's too hard. It's too hard
you
to
just rattle off a scroll like when you're like in those infomercials.
Yeah, I mean, so go like forever. Like Stephen King is a favorite, just for years and years and years. Oh my God! And I love Richard Yates, and I love Tom Perrotta.
I don't know.
See, this is that when you don't talk out loud about things.
Yeah.
I realize I say it both ways in my head. Yeah. I love Joyce Carol Oates. I just read a Paul Tremblay book that I loved. Yes. It's all, and they're like, it's.
Are you reading something now, or do you not read while you're...
I just started 2 books, and I read a lot these past couple months. I just read a book, The Good Son, that was really compelling.
There was a movie with Macaulay Culkin, right?
Oh, no, this is,
This is totally different?
It's the same title, but it's going to...
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the trick with titles.
Right, yes.
You can get very easily confused.
Yeah. She's a Korean, it's a big deal there, and I think it's her first book that's being translated here, and that was really chilling and disturbing and good. And so I just started a few other books this weekend, but then I read a little, then with writing, it is hard. It's a tricky, and then with reading books to blurb them as opposed to reading just to read, it's that. I think, why don't we get to have like 3 brains, Like.
I'm also disappointed that we don't have 3 brains.
Yes.
That would be very...
It seems fair because, especially like I get sent books, and this week I got so many books, and I'm like, it upsets me that it's not possible. Or I guess if you were a speed reader. But then I can be a slow reader too.
I'm a very slow reader.
Yeah, I like to think about a book.
Yeah.
So
what do you do to clear your brain? What are the fun things when you're like...
Cedar Cove.
Cedar Cove.
That kind of thing. Yeah, just like a complete trip into another...
Yeah. And when you said you had these moments where you're like, I figured it out and I want to call my friends and go out, do you...
Yeah, then go out and talk, but then it's that slow sinking when like you start to hear parts of what you're writing in your head, like, oh no. And I'm a big notepad person on the phone, where then I start scribbling in the notepad, and it's kind of what I do with writing too, where in the morning I write in bed, and then I'll print out pages and not bring my computer and read them out in the world without the computer, and just have that and make all those notes, and then go back and not be able to read my own handwriting.
That's funny.
And kind of write it again.
I do exactly that. Print things out so I can be like, oh, I'm going to touch these pages and see what it looks like in print.
Yes, it helps because it's like changing the font when you're stuck too. Suddenly it all looks different to you.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. See, I keep all of these random sheets of notes. I probably just need to carry around a notebook too, to write, to keep them all in one place.
I mean, these are all like printer pages. Why don't you just buy an extra 3-ring binder and a 3-hole punch?
But
go to town.
I guess that's just my system. I don't know. Just write them down as I... random scraps of paper.
That's exactly why I started keeping a notebook. And even if I write something on a random scrap of paper, I tape it into my notebook so that I don't have
there you go.
That's good. So you don't have the things everywhere.
Yeah, so I still have a very cluttered house because I'm always working on a bunch of random stuff. But yeah, at least then I don't have the random scraps of paper just floating around
That's what I like about the notepad, too, because then you can email it to yourself, and then it's in 2 places.
It's good thinking.
That notepad is just my favorite thing. Because I've always had terrible handwriting, so...
I stole someone else's good handwriting.
Oh, really?
My real handwriting. I always wonder this. I've never had my handwriting analyzed, but I wonder who they would find out that I could have been, because my real handwriting is very bad. But I'm an artist and I'm a good copyist. And so in 8th grade, I used to always get in trouble for my handwriting up until 8th grade. And then my 8th grade English teacher printed an essay from a student a year prior or whatever that was a particularly good essay to emulate, like the 5-paragraph structure or something. And I got the essay and I was like, wow, this handwriting is very legible. It was cursive, but it was like kind of bubbly. And I was like, I'm just going to copy this handwriting and this will be my handwriting from now on whenever anyone else is going to read it. But if I'm writing for myself, it's a total mess.
Ooh, so you have legitimately 2 different styles. Yeah.
I really am living a double life.
You ghostwriting for yourself.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
kind
pretty
of.
cool.
Yeah.
That would be a good character thing in a story. You
Yeah.
know, not knowing if it was the same person because of the different handwritings.
Yeah. So if I ever decide to, murder anyone, I'll just use this person from
get away with it.
my junior high will get busted because I've stolen her handwriting.
You could be a forger as a side job.
Absolutely.
Yeah. If anyone needs a forger, please call me.
Now's when we need the 1-800 number.
Yeah, exactly.
If there's, a rich dude that you wanted to take over his mansion or whatever, you could totally sign the deed to his house.
Yeah, why haven't I done that
Yeah,
yet?
come on, Libby.
Why am I not
You've got
living?
a big week ahead.
Yeah, I have so much to do. All right, see, this is why my page is blank.
That's why you have the blank page,
I can
yeah.
write my to-do list. Forge documents, move into mansion, assume
There
someone
you go.
else's life.
I mean, I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
If you don't mind me having a room in your mansion, that'd be really great.
I mean, I'll just forge documents for a larger mansion. And
There we go. Thank you.
You should have the slide going out the window into the pool.
Yes, I definitely need that.
Yes.
Clearly.
What is your dream home, Caroline?
The slide going out the window into the pool.
Is it-
'Cause
that's the whole
movie?
thing? That's the
The Legend of Billie Jean. Is that the movie? The Legend of Billie Jean?
Maybe. I haven't seen that.
I didn't see it.
I'm pretty sure they hadn't. There had some version of it. I might be mixing it up, but it was one of those things. I'm like, yep, that's a good way to live. And I'm always surprised that it's not a thing in people's homes. At least not the homes I've been to.
I've always wanted a money bin that I could swim into like Scrooge McDuck.
Oh God.
I
Put on the swim cap.
I
jump
could
in.
have put a slide, but I've never had a pool. So, and I feel like you'd have to build a pretty deep pool.
It would have to be pretty deep.
You can't
Unless,
just-
But if it was if it gradually,
Sure.
if it was more like a cabin feel, like not a, a log. What's it called? The barrel.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Have you gotten this? So you were a little protected.
But you couldn't just you couldn't do a janky version of that would be safe. Like you couldn't just get an above
It would
ground
have to be a
pool.
mansion. No, yes. You would have to have the budget.
Yeah.
You don't want to die like the first time you
need
get
the
in your
budget
mansion.
for such a thing. Yeah, exactly. What are the other features of your?
A dance room,
Oh, nice.
Yeah, with a disco ball and that was just pure floor and
Yeah.
mirrors.
I love
Yes.
it.
Would you also
Yeah.
have the bars on the wall or not so much?
No, I think just
just for disco fever.
just for disco fever.
Okay.
Well,
Yes.
you could have them where they flip out from the walls, right? So they or
Oh, yeah,
push
some
out or
magic
in.
doors, yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
Yeah.
I'm all about secret doors and secret passages.
Yeah.
So they would be all over my mansion.
My friend has in her house
like a dumbwaiter and stuff?
a writing and a room where she does a writing, and it has that thing where you push and the wall emerges, like the
I love
bookshelf.
that.
And that's
Those are
just
my favorite.
Yes.
When you're ready for that, that's one of my dad's secret talents. I mean, he's a pretty
Really?
He's a pretty good handyman in general, but in every home we've owned, he's built a bookcase store. He's like all about the bookcase stores.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
that's fantastic.
That's
Yeah,
a good.
I'll hire him to build my
Yeah,
house.
if you're going to cultivate a random skill, building secret bookcase stores is a pretty good
Okay.
one.
Yep.
Good choice.
Besides having a mansion, what's something that you dreamed about that's coming to fruition?
I guess all of this. I mean, the publishing books and having people read them all over the world is just beyond dream come true level of, it's such an adjustment to writing and thinking no one will ever see this, and then writing and knowing people will read it that's and then the show being made. I mean, it's ridiculous.
That's pretty incredible. And
Yes.
you was translated into, I had it wrote down and I forgot it, to multiple languages, right?
Yeah, and some 19 or 21. Something
Wow.
like that. Yeah,
That's cool.
Yeah, so that's just a cool. It's all wonderful. And then hearing from people every day, readers, that's magic too. That's the best part of it.
Do you get letters and emails and stuff like that?
Yes, it's fantastic.
And you mentioned Stephen King earlier. He and Lena Dunham both wrote great reviews on your book, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yes,
that's nuts, right?
Yes. Yeah. It's been many dreams coming true. Getting back to that, feeling bad about being happy about things online. Yeah. Yes.
So are you and Stephen King hanging out now?
Yeah.
Does he have a slide
Going to
going
party.
into
I
the
have the
pool?
slide. Yeah.
Right.
You need to find out.
I just came from there. My back is sore. Yeah.
I would think, though, that Stephen King would have his would go into a pool filled with blood or something, or like red Jello.
Piranhas.
Yeah, piranha.
You must very quickly get back out of this
Yeah,
pool.
right.
There's no lingering.
You
in
have to
Stephen
find
King's pool.
you have to swim to the secret passage, like underneath the pool, to like swim out and back into the house. This is giving me all sorts of ideas. I'm really excited about my
It is
future house.
exciting. Yeah.
I don't know if I would be as. I mean, the pool definitely important, but I'm a real ocean person specifically. So I think I'd rather build a big chunk of my house that's under the ocean with like glass walls.
Your
and,
own personal aquarium or access to like.
Yeah, like an Atlantis-y.
Oh,
So you'd have the
yeah.
sea beneath the floor, the glass floor.
But the other way, I would build at like 35 or 65 or 65
Like a
feet.
submarine home.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like a
Yes.
submarine home. Yeah.
That's cool. And you'd have like a separate closet with like wetsuits and stuff that people could just like jump into.
I would just build somewhere warm. I hate wetsuits.
Oh, okay.
I would just build it. I would just build in
I've never
warm
been in a
water.
wetsuit. I never want to be in a wetsuit
No,
ever.
nobody
Like,
wants
who
to be in
invented
a
that?
wetsuit.
Like, yeah.
All right, fine.
But I mean, you can bring a wetsuit.
No, that's
Maybe I'll provide one for you, but it'll be like
no.
80
I want to partake in all the randomness.
It'll be
of
like
your...
80-degree water, so you
Oh,
can just like
okay, great. I'm ready.
swim, out the mudroom, out of
Yeah.
the laundry
Okay.
room.
And then you can have the bar in the water outside.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
Ooh,
another one
that's
of those.
nice.
Yeah. Growing
like
up, there
this.
was a tennis court that hung over the ocean, and that was magic to me. Because, when you're doing things anywhere near the ocean, those things are so much better.
So then when you hit the ball off
into the water.
court, then does
Yeah.
a seal like jump up like a dog and snatch
In
it
the
out of
fantasy
the
version of
water?
it, yes.
Yeah. You're like, oh, there goes my ball. The seal just stole another ball.
And then he dances and flips and speaks English.
Yeah, you only want to hang out with English-speaking seals
Yes.
who have read your book in the original.
Oh, yes,
Imagine
of
if he
course,
talked
yeah.
to you and you didn't know what he was saying. Like,
Seals are pretty smart.
Yeah, they're very
could-
smart.
yeah.
My feeling is that seals might be smart enough, but they're not autodidacts. That like they don't have the self-discipline and the drive. They're all about the fun. They're all about the fun.
This is why I love seals.
fun,
Me too.
frivolous.
they're flopping.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm all about flopping, flipping, flopping.
They're like, why are you guys working so hard? What are you doing? Don't you know about just like,
Yeah, we could just
Flopping.
we could just be napping on a beach together.
It's my favorite way to live, honestly.
Yeah.
So, Caroline, where can people find you should you wish to be found?
let's see. So I have an event on Valentine's Day at the Diane von Furstenberg store at the Grove with Andrea Dunlop. Her book is coming out. She Regrets Nothing. It's a very, very good book.
Cool.
Yes. So that's on February 14th. And let's see. Then I'm on all the social media places except Pinterest. You can't find me on Pinterest. Not
Meh.
like directly. Yeah.
That's okay.
But that's not a social place, right? That's just like
I think
an
it
exchange of images.
can be because you can follow people. It
Oh, you
depends.
can? Okay,
Yeah, I
then,
mean,
yeah.
if you're like, I really love seals, then you can follow
Right.
someone's like seal Pinterest.
Oh, that's sweet.
yeah. I mean, it's kind of like Instagram.
Yes. But that's what I don't understand the difference between. I think when I think of Pinterest, I think of recipes
I think I have a
or
whole
like home goods, making things.
I have a
and crafts
recipe
and-
page on my Pinterest and a separate board for mostly for like vintage style.
Okay, yes.
'Cause I
So
don't-
it's not it's like things that you like. It's not as personal. It's not
Yeah, because like with Instagram or Facebook, usually or frequently you're posting photos that you took or things
Right.
that were happening to you. And I feel like Pinterest is a lot of like, oh, these shoes are cool, or this is a great recipe. I should just save it for later in a easy
Right.
to find place.
it's the vision board.
Yeah, I mean, it's like clipping, which I used to do too, clip things out
Yeah,
of
remember
magazines.
that? Yes.
Yeah, it's like a digital magazine.
Yes.
Where you can put all your clippings.
So yes.
But
So anywhere but there, yeah.
And is your handle Caroline Kepnes?
It
or
is.
Okay.
Yes, it's everywhere.
Yeah. I'm Sneaky Varmint all over the whole internet. So if you need a forger, DM me and I'll set you up. And then if you want to play our Sneaky Fridays game, hashtag Sneaky Fridays, every Friday from 8 to 10 Pacific, then we'll put out a new fun tag.
What was your first episode like?
The Sneaky Fridays tag is a comic prompt, and people from all over the world tweet based on that comic prompt. And the very first one was actually to promote a live show that we were doing at Second City Hollywood. And I started doing them to promote the show, and then the other people involved in the show didn't really care about the Twitter game, but other people all over the world were playing it, and so I just never stopped doing it. And I should really look up and find out what the first tag was, because I don't.
Yeah,
I know it was music based. We did a lot of like bands or artists or songs or lyrics for the first year because the show was a musical. And then after that, I was like, I'm out of musical ideas. I'm gonna put any prompt, but thanks for asking. I'll look that up. Maybe we will just revive the.
That's a good throwback with the new title. You know.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, maybe we'll just revive the very first tag.
Yes.
Cool.
And then you just do every single episode over again. Yes.
Everything's coming back.
Bring
anyway.
everyone back and make them listen to what they said
We
4
got
years
Full
ago.
House.
Like, what'd you do?
We've got
Yes.
Roseanne. It's all coming back.
Yes.
So that makes total sense.
It's very retro.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you.
We'll catch you on the next one.
Yes.
Guys, this has been Friend or Foe. No one knows.